Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at the Rooted Woman Oracle. Okay, so I'm not seeing hardly anything about this on in the YouTube world. I'm not really sure why. So I was kind of drawn to it. I was interested in it. And I noticed that nobody was really talking about it. So I went out and grabbed a copy and I figured I'll talk about it. The thing with oracles is I very recently have come to the conclusion that me and oracles kind of don't get along. Um, I move so many the 90% of the decks that I put into purgatory and move on are oracles. There's something about oracles in me that don't I kind of don't use them. I have a couple that I do enjoy and I do use, and I think they're super cool. But there's something too soft about oracles for me, and I'm just not drawn to them. So, with that said, I will get into this oracle. I slid it back into its sleeve because I just wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do with it. But then I decided, you know what, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to do a video on it. It is beautiful, and I'm sure it's going to resonate with a lot of individuals out there. However, like I said, I've just recently come to the conclusion that me and oracles aren't really compatible. I'm a tarot girl, 100%. I'm a tarot girl. But I have met some pretty amazing oracles, don't get me wrong. So, nice box. I like how it opens. I think that's really cool. So this is by, I guess I should say, it's by Sharon Blackie and Hannah Willow. So Shannon Blackie is the writer, and obviously this is her side of the deal, right? And then Hannah Willow is the artist, and she's obviously done the artwork and the images. And it's a decent, it's 53 cards. So I mean, it's a good size oracle. There's that's awesome. I like that. I shouldn't say hate, hate's a strong word. Strongly dislike when oracle decks just don't have enough cards. Unless they're really crazy strong. The old Ways Magic Oracle, I believe that only has 40 cards. It might even have less than that. And but the cards are so powerful and there's so much in them that they can get away. If she got away with that, it's okay. You know what I mean? I don't know. And then you have decks like the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, which has so many freaking cards that it's almost too big. And sometimes I divide that deck in half and I only work with half of it because there's so many, right? So typical Hay House. It's a very, very typical Hay House quality, right? They're common size, they're common card stock. I like that they're a little gloss, but not super glossy. So she's got this divided into a bunch of different things. All right, so I'm going to put them into their little groups. Okay, and I'm gonna be really honest, and I never mean any harm. I'm just gonna be really honest. I kind of find the shapes distracting, the white shapes, like the circle, the square, and the triangle. But I like that but I like that it shows the circle is these cards, this card, you know what I mean? I like that it clarifies what they are and what they belong to, and I get that. Makes it very user friendly. However, I feel like they could have maybe picked prettier shapes, like a triangle, a square, and a circle. Meh. I kind of find them distracting in a way. That's my first thing that I noticed with them is that was kind of eh, that kind of was weird. All right, so our triangles are places. Our circles up here are our allies. And our squares are the journey. And then these two beautiful cards right here are our focus cards, which are diamonds. this is a very interesting system. I haven't worked with it, so I don't know exactly like where we're going with it. I'm sure you can just shuffle it all together and use it like that, or you can keep it divided in the three and work with it the way that she like had intentions on it being worked with. So from what I'm understanding, this card very much encompasses the energy of the Fool. So it's like the beginning of the journey, where you're at in your journey, right? So you're at the beginning of the journey. And then this card very much encompasses the World card. So you're at the end of the journey. And I thought that that was pretty cool. So you're beginning of your journey, or if you're at the towards the end of your journey. So that's pretty cool how that is. Um, She has in here like all like how you work with it, how you're pulling the cards. I just want to see. Yeah, like there's a bunch of different ways that you can work with this, right? So let's look at the cards. Let's get into the cards and let's look at what was this one again? I'm sorry. So this is the places. So here's the backs. And here's our places. So we've got the well, island, cave, bog, which I don't think I've seen a bog card, forest, meadow, mountain, sea, moor, river, lake, cliff, bridge, stone circle, heron, the Fisher's King's Court, the Isle of Woman. Okay, so that's our places. Next is our allies. So we've got the Well Maiden, Old Crane Woman, Sovereignty, Silky, Miss, Carowin, Alan, Rhiannon, the Buried Moon, Sheila Nagig, which is, I think the only time I've seen this used is in the Dark Goddesses Tarot, right? Kaliak, or however you want to pronounce it, because it seriously has like a million, trillion, gajillion different pronunciations. Beanfesta, Matcha, Old Woman of Dreams, the Grail Bearer, Beansea, and Lamorgan. So I'll have to get into the book, but I'm pretty sure I might be wrong. But I think the Beanfesta, the Beansea, or Sai, or C, or She, I'm not sure how you're saying that, are alternate forms of the where is she? Of the Kalia. So I might be wrong though, but I'm pretty sure that they are. I think I've seen that. All right, and then we've got the journey. So we've got quest. I believe it's in Imham. Pilgrimage, labyrinth, the wasteland, the call, the threshold, the fall, the descent. So like I'm still doing my my journey into Hecate's cave. And when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, that's so Hecate. Another Hecate card to me, the Crossroads. I mean, that's probably not where she was going with it, but like because I'm on the Hecate journey, it's like the Crossroads, the descent, temptation, initiation, transformation, shape shifting, reclaiming the feminine, the sacred marriage, and the return. Okay, and then we have these two. Peregrina and Rooted. All right, so I want to get into the book and I want to look at how she says. So she talks a little bit about it, her 3 suits, the different things, all that stuff, how this deck is structured, places, allies, and journey, and then you have your 2 focus cards. So the Rooted reflecting the features of the world, the place in which we find ourselves at the completion of our journey, and then the Peregrina, which reflects features of the Fool card, and is places from which we begin. When I looked at them, it was very much like where you are in your journey. Like that's kind of like what popped into my head. Are you at the beginning of your journey or are you towards the end of your journey, right? So that's kind of what came to mind when I looked at those. All right, so she talks about how she takes them out into the sun and then she likes to use them under the full moon. Like I find oracles are very great for like self-work and self-reflective work. I think this is a beautiful deck, and I think it's got an interesting system. I'm just trying to see like how we're doing this. So she talks about being able to use them all together or individually. So she wants you to cut them into 3 separate piles. If they were all together, shuffle them all together, cut them into 3 separate piles, put the piles back together in any order, and then select the cards on the top and let them guide you. Lay the cards out in front of you, depending on what kind of reading you are undertaking. You might want to divide the deck into the 3 suits first and then separate out the focus cards before shuffling each suit. So like I said, you can use them all together or you can use them individually. So she's got like journey, ally, places. And she's got another one here, which is called the soul path. She talks about doing dream work and journaling with them. I don't know, kind of a cool system. So let's get in here. Let's do this. Let's see what they're like. I'm going to use them individually, right? So I'm going to once again they have like that like what everybody has right now, that bow, but it's at least bowed the right way. So it's not rocking, which is nice, but like I'm tired of these decks being bowed all the time, and I always like shuffle them the opposite way to try to bring that bow out. Let me not shuffle these reversed. All right. Did that help it? They're still a little bowed, but not as bad. All right, so I'm going to put that down like this. There's almost not enough cards to like comfortably shuffle. Okay, and then this is like Like shuffling two cards is weird. So strange. Okay, so let's put this down up here. All right, so move everything down a little bit. And they do blend into my background a little bit. My friend is sending me a different one of these. She picked a different one for me that she's sending me from her home in Montreal. So I don't know. We'll see which one shows up and what different one it is. But this is really quite beautiful. Like I love this spread cloth so much. It's become my new favorite thing. Honestly, I love it. All right, so we've got our places, our ally, our journey, and then we've got like where I'm at in that. So keeping the book right here. Okay, so let's flip it and see. Boundedness and isolation. Is this going to be mean to me? Kalia. And then temptation. And then I'm at the beginning of my journey with this. Okay, let's see. Let's see what all these mean. And let me share a whole bunch of private stuff with you guys. Wow, that 4 looks like a 1. Okay, I've got 2. So I've got island. An island can represent many ways of being in the world. It can be the source of safety and security, or it can represent exile and isolation. Sometimes it can represent both. Sometimes, in order to feel safe, we exile ourselves from the things we formerly knew and loved. We separate from the world and make ourselves an island. Sometimes this is a positive thing, a necessary withdrawal to lick our wounds and gain respite. Sometimes the withdrawal is in some ways forced upon us, perhaps because we can't accommodate the world as we know it or feel ourselves fully a part of it. All edges are transitional places, and the greatest edges of all are the places where the land meets the sea. These edges might seem gentle on a still summer's day when the sun warms the shallows and the soft sand cradles you, but to inhabit an island, you must also be able to face the storm. Its edges might seem to define an island on a map, but from the island's perspective, its edges aren't always strictly defined. They shift with weather and with the tides in a never-ending dance between land and sea. Like the sea on the island beach, we too ebb and flow. We sometimes, we soften sometimes, allowing ourselves to seep into another ecosystem, then retreat into the safety of our own world. This card reminds us to ponder that mystery and never to resist its natural flow. Well, that's really quite beautiful. And I do agree with what that's saying. I'm very much kind of in that chapter and that part of my life right now. So I do kind of agree with where that's going and what it's saying. All right, let's look at the Kalia. I mean, there's so many different ways to pronounce her name. And I feel like none of them are wrong. It just depends on where you're at in the world. All right, so we've got Protector of the Wild. In Irish and Scottish folklore, so she's got it, Cailleach, so she has your pronunciation here, is a divine hag, the creator goddess of the land, who gives shape to the earth through all of its long ages. Stories tell of how she constructed enormous mounds in a single night, and how she shaped the hills and mountains and caused great lakes to form. Like the cycles and seasons of the natural world over which she presides, the Cailleach, I call her Kalia, renews herself consistently, each year in spring or every 100 years, and usually by bathing in certain bodies of water. But above all, the Kalia is presented as a fierce protector of the earth and the guardian of its balance. She ensures that humans could not take more than the land could give. Hunters had a great respect for her, and they followed her instructions on which deer to call and when. She ensured that they were always provided with enough food and pelts. In these troubled times and challenging environmental conditions, we women need to embrace our inner Kalia and stand up for the integrity and health of the wild places and creatures of this world. The Kalia is our ally in this work, teaching us that we are the land and the land is us, and reminding us to grow into an elder and to become strong and enduring as the beautiful old bones of this earth. Okay, that is gorgeous. That like gave me chills. And it's 100%. I agree with that message all the way. And I've been very drawn to her this winter, and I've bought tons of books, and I'm in the process of learning a lot about her. And I couldn't agree more. Like, I love that this card is the card that came forward. All right, Temptation 11. Ooh, so I've got two 11, 11. Interesting. 11. Temptation. At some time during our heroine's journey, we'll come up against one or more great temptations. They perhaps are the greatest tests that we'll have to endure. We might encounter situations or people who will seduce us away from our true path and lead us to make decisions that prevent us from completing the journey. Temptation often comes in the form of an easy way out, or in the form of things which, once upon a time, we wanted more than anything else. The seductive snare of an easy life, a nice house, a well paid job, security rather than uncertainty. Sometimes it presents itself in a form of a possible partner who, while seeming very attractive, will hurt us, or who does not share the values we've come to espouse. Each one of these temptations will present itself to us in its own unique basket, and it will be hard to navigate through the choices we need to make. Sometimes we don't realize that we're being tempted. Sometimes it seems as if we have no choice about the way forward. But we always have choices. This card reminds you to stop and to consider those choices and their consequences when temptation arrives along the way. Ooh, interesting. I have not been tempted by anything yet, but you never know. But they do generally all make sense to me right now. Like I can find where they fit, especially this one. This one too. This one, I maybe I haven't noticed it, right? Like it says that sometimes it's not so noticeable. So maybe there is something here not noticeable. All right, and then I want to look at the Pagrina. Let's see here. And it's one. All right. So this card represents the Pagrina, the pilgrim, the heroine at the beginning of the journey. She's looking for something, though she doesn't yet know what it is. Like the fool in the tarot, she represents innocence. She's open, curious, and ready to embrace life, and yet she's cloaked and clothed for heavy winter, for a journey which may turn out to be arduous in the end. As she walks through the wild terrain, far from civilization of which she once was part of, the Peregrina is shedding the ties which usually bind her. She's discovering a willingness to live in the present and to have no presumptions about the nature of what might follow. Happily, she isn't undergoing this journey alone. Her companions travel with her, because in the old traditions of classical Europe, the idea exists that each of us comes into the world accompanied by a soul guide. The soul guide is always trying to help us remember who we are and why we chose to come here. It reminds us of our calling and the greatest gift that we came to offer the world in troubling times. This card reminds us that this is the ultimate goal of our journey. We must be willing to detach from who we've been and what we might become before we can discover who we're really meant to be and what our work is in the world. Amazing. All right, so I really like that. I really like the messages. I really like her write-ups and her descriptions. I like it. I don't know how much I'm going to use it. I don't know if this will eventually be, moved on, because that tends to be the future of my oracles. But I do like it, and I like how it's got like the three different kind of paths, right? So interesting, interesting. I don't know if I would mix them all together. I don't know. I guess this is one of those decks where like you could mix them together and then separate them depending on what you want to do with them, right? Um, her spreads are keeping them separate. So for now, I think I will keep them separate just until I know exactly what I want to do with them. But yeah, so that is the Rooted Woman. And like I said, I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff about this deck yet. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why, but don't know. I'm not seeing any videos on it, so I figured I'd do one. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting. The backs are okay. I think they're kind of cool. They're different. And like I said, it's your typical Hay House cardstock. But I believe this is a Hay House UK. And I don't know, maybe it's just all the same. Yeah, like it just says Hay House. But this is a very UK-based deck. I believe they're both UK-based people. There's a lot of European folklore and things on here. And I like at the beginning she has like this card, which is turned up right in front of me. O mother of the sea, lend me a wave that is strong and true to carry me from this age which unbinds me. I do not need a ship, mother, but make it a buoyant swell to bear me up and float me on the seas, dreaming, then beach me on some lighter shore. When I land there, mother, give me a warp and a weft again, and an urchin quill to remind me how the prettiest barb can lodge under your skin and leave you undone. Only lend me a loom, and I will take up the thread of this unraveled life. I will weave a braid from 3 strands of seaweed. I will wind it 3 times around my finger. I will dig my salt-encrusted hands into the soil and wed myself to the thirsty brown roots of a new beginning. Well, that's quite beautiful. All right. Well, like I said, that's the Rooted Woman Oracle. A beautiful deck. It's got some interesting stuff going on in it. The artwork is very beautiful. Very comforting, very soft. Like that's really pretty. So yeah. If you like this video, share, comment, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.